to Joe's Java Studio. Today we'll be covering Spring Cloud Gateway. Spring Cloud Gateway comes into use when you have multiple microservices and you want something in the middle to route each request to the service that it belongs to. And it also has many features that cloud providers like AWS and GCP have, like a lot of the web gateway functionalities that they provide. Just talk about some of the features. Spring Cloud Gateway is able to match routes on any request attributes, and that's done through predicates, which are conditions that you need to check before passing down the request. And filters we'll talk more about later in the video. And the Spring Cloud Gateway is also easily integrated with Circuit Breaker and Spring Cloud Discovery clients. And some of the more popular features that I've been seeing is request rate limiting. Basically, you decide how much traffic your application will serve. And path rewriting. Today we'll be going over path rewriting and predicates and filters and some other features. So to get started, you can head over to start.spring.io, look up Gateway. And the first one, just Gateway, is for MVC servlet-based applications. This is for Webflux reactive applications. Doesn't really matter. You can choose the flavor you want. For this video, I'm going with Reactive Gateway. And let's head over to the application. So here, before we implement the gateway, we have two applications running, which one is for the post service that we implemented, which talks to JSON placeholder.typecode.com to return some dummy post data. And that's running on port 8081. So let's go ahead and test that real quick. So this returns some dummy post data. You can pass in the ID, and this will return a post with ID 1. And another application is much simpler. All it does is return this message right here. And this is running on port 8082. So let's go ahead and test that as well. Port 8082 will return you're hitting the comments API. Okay, now we will implement a central gateway for these two services. And we can do that through configuration or code. In this video, I'll be mainly covering how to implement it via properties files, and in the end I'll also go over where you can find code implementations of this. So for this, let's go ahead and write up the properties. The top level is Spring Cloud Gateway routes, and here we'll define our routes. So the first one is going to be called posts route, and the other one is going to be called comments route. All right. And the URI for these are HTTP localhost 8080 . Get rid of this. Oops. And then no, it's 8081, and then this will be 8082. Okay. And now we need to define the predicates for passing a request down to port 8081. And the predicate for this is going to be a path predicate, where if the path equals /posts, then it'll route to port 8081. But if you see here, the posts API the endpoint is actually /API/posts. So what we need to do here is prefix the /API in front of the /post. And we can do that through filters. This filter is going to be called prefix path equals /API. So what this will do is it'll prefix this in front of the URI over here. And let's do the same for the comments API. The path predicate will be /comments, and everything else just stay the same. So now let's go ahead and run it. Okay. So if I point to port 8080, that's the gateway application, and we're gonna hit the /comments API first. We get you're hitting the comments API. If you do /posts, we get the post data, and then if we pass in the ID 1, we get the post with ID equals 1. All right, now we're able to successfully route our requests to different services. There's much more that Cloud Gateway can do, but we'll talk about one more thing, which is adding a response header. So if you look here, the headers are content type, encoding, and date. Let's say you want to add a custom header from the gateway. You can do this by adding a filter called add response header equals, you give the name of the header, and then the value, which is Joe's Java Studio. So what this will do is add a header called powered by, and the value will be Joe's Java Studio. Let's go ahead and run it again. All right. So if we make this request again, we should see a header called powered by Joe's Java Studio. All right, so we've implemented a simple cloud gateway. And as I mentioned earlier, there are many ways to implement these different features. And you can find all of that in the Spring Cloud Gateway docs. You can just look up Spring Cloud Gateway docs on Google, and it should come up. So I've been using the shortcut configuration mode in my properties. This is a more compact property configuration, but if you want it to be more verbose, you can follow the fully expanded version. So let's go ahead and actually implement a more verbose, a fully expanded version of the add response header filter. So where do we find that? We can go to Gateway Filter Factories and go to Add Response Header. It says the factory takes a name and a value parameter. So for this one, we'll just provide the name of the filter. And then here we'll do arguments, name, powered by, value Joe's Java Studio. So this should still add the powered by header to the request. So we made that change to the comments route. So let's go ahead and test that. So we're still getting it. If we change it, powered by IntelliJ, IntelliJ. It should now say IntelliJ. Okay. So that's one way to do it. So these are two ways of configuring it via properties. And another way of configuring this is through code, and you can find that in the Fluent Java Routes API. So here, this is your predicate. And your filters you're adding here, and then URI, which is where are you going to pass the request down to. That's set there. So you can look over the documentations for if you want to implement it via code. And yeah, I think that is it. Comment down below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.